Welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Friday edition. I'm Adolph Mongo. I welcome Jim Nardone from our downriver former police chief, expert. What's up, Jim?
Happy Friday to you and happy Friday to all our friends. Hello, Duela.
Okay. And last but not least tonight, Vanessa Moss, attorney Vanessa Moss, running for probate court. She's trying to uh, turn the court into something that it once was, because right now they got a big cloud hanging over that court over there. People taking money, people doing things. Folks don't like to go to probate court because the worst I hear about it is that the attorneys, they some of the judges favor certain attorneys, and attorneys, they the ones. It's like they got it. They get it. All the money that people supposed to be getting. That inherited. I know you're gonna say that's not true, but then when you see the headlines in the paper where they took people bars, houses, 500,000. They treated it like they was at the casino, just getting chips and stuff. So, yeah, people do say that.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm glad that you said that. First of all, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. You already know what we want you to do. Like, subscribe, share, like, subscribe, share. You can catch us on all social media platforms. If you want to make a comment, feel free to do so, but you can always come on into the room by using that link. Okay, so yes, I am Vanessa Moss. Yes, I am running for Wayne County Probate Court. Um, you know, probate court, a lot of people look at probate court, they call it the country club of law. Now, I used to be over there. I used to be in Wayne County Probate Court all the time. But it's interesting because probate court touches every single entity of the law. You got a little real estate because people fighting over houses. You have, of course, criminal matters. People may commit a crime, somebody gets some money. Definitely decedents estates, if they're in the middle of a lawsuit, or if there's a wrongful death, there's a lawsuit, you're going to probate court. If you're talking about a baby that needs a guardian, you're talking about probate court. Of course, you talk about the developmentally disabled people. You're talking about the mental health court, people who may be out on the street that is having a mental health crisis. That all goes through probate court. So all roads lead to probate court. What's interesting about Wayne County Probate Court, just like Wayne County Criminal Court, it's the largest court in the state of Michigan. You can go to a court in Lenawee County, a probate court in Lenawee County. Those judges may have 10 cases a day. Wayne County, 35 to 45. 35 to 45. So what happens? The judge can't take off his or her robe and go and do an investigation if somebody has filed something. They depend on lawyers. So they appoint lawyers that they believe have integrity, lawyers that they believe are going to do the work, that's actually going to go out and do the investigation. And unfortunately, just like in any other profession, you have people who are dishonest. They may be dishonest clients, they may be dishonest people that's going before the court, but you also have lawyers that are dishonest. And it's unfortunate because we take a pledge. And we're supposed to be honest. But unfortunately, in this profession,
and they not honest. Some of them are not honest.
No, and this is the thing. A lot of people are talking about, oh, hey, Tracy, I'm going to call you. Okay. Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to call you tonight. Unfortunately, because we had Adam Holier on here talking, we've had a few people talk about, well, things have to change. You could legislate until you turn blue. The bottom line is, if you're a crooked person, you're going to find a way to do whatever it is. As it stands now, it's it works very well, but you always have those few, those twos and threes that do something. So you have uh, drama going on at the Wayne County Probate Court. It's also out there in Kent County with the lady who was the treasurer for the Attorney General. You have that going on, and you have some drama going on in Oakland County Court. So, Oakland County Probate Court. The other thing that people need to understand is this. I don't think the average person knows this. Probate court has its own budget. It's separate and distinct from the circuit court. It's separate and distinct from the civil court. It's separate and distinct from the circuit court. They have their own budget. They have their own thing. So now you have some judges saying, listen, we think that they should all come under the same authority in terms of money is concerned, as like the circuit court does. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. Some of the things that people complain about in Wayne County is, well, everything is online. That's true. But guess what? It's the same way in Oakland County. Guess what? It's the same way in Macomb County. So you're gonna have your pros and your cons, but you do need people on that bench that have integrity and hold their feet to the fire.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ada.
Go ahead, Jim.
I have a question and a comment, and I'll ask my question first, and I want you to think about it while I make a comment, Vanessa. Okay. Isn't it like a hospital where the judge starts recommending and assigning cases to lawyers that are under their favor? And I want you to answer that, but I'm going to say hello, Tracy, Stephanie, Janet Overall. Hi, Karen C. Good evening to you, Miss Sheila. Always the voice of reason. Edward Alt, 5085. Good evening, Edward. I want to talk about Adolph for just 1 second, if I could. I know we talked about him at length. Felicia Dean, good evening to you.
Good.
Adolph, I guess it was Wednesday, maybe in the morning, was on Charlie LaDuff's show. And there's a great interview that he had with Charlie on that show. And there's some information that I hope he'd be willing to share with our Detroit and Black and White viewers after Vanessa answers the question.
Okay, so your question was, did the judges appoint cases to lawyers? Absolutely. That's exactly how I got my start in Wayne County Probate Court. You take training. It used to be old school way, and it became controversial, is you would go to different courtrooms and you would leave your card with the clerk. The clerks hold the power there in the courtroom, right? They're the security between you and the judge, right? So you used to take your card, and if they, felt like it, they will call you and give you some appointments. Well, people didn't like that. It had been going on for decades. So now what you do is you have to take training. You have to take this training. You have to pay for this training. You also, depending on what kind of work you want to do, you have to have insurance, malpractice insurance. And you have to show proof that you have malpractice insurance, and it has to be for a certain amount of money. Once you do that, your name goes on the list. And the judges are supposed to pick, people on the list to do appointments. But just like everybody else, there are some people who pick their folks. You know what I'm saying? This is my girl. I like her. I know she does good work. I'm going to give her some work. But there are some judges who spread the love around. But the bottom line is, as I think you were going there, Jim, the judge can't take their robe off and do all of this stuff. They depend on the lawyers to do that. To do the guardian ad litem, you do the investigation. I'm sure you're familiar with a guardian ad litem. Okay, then you have the appointment of a guardian or a conservator. There are companies that are guardianship companies, right? And so they get appointed as guardians. Then you have people who are appointed as conservators. Sometimes the guardian ad litem, because they've done such a good work and a good job, and they know all the entities or whatever what's going on, they may be appointed as a conservator. But what happens is, you're supposed to preserve those assets. You act like you're supposed to hold them near and dear to your heart. You're supposed to preserve those assets because these vulnerable people can't do that. And once a judge gets a whiff that somebody is not doing that, then, all hell breaks out. Now, we know that there's this controversy going on, and they have been indicted, not alleged. They have been indicted for something that's going on over for some things that went on in Wayne County Probate Court. But to be very honest, they're not the first, and they won't be the last. They should be. They should be ashamed of themselves, because
What about the judges that gave these folks all these
I think it's interesting. I don't know
cases?
if anybody else has asked that question, because
I'm asking the question.
in my purview, there had to be some people that were complicit in this. I read the story that I'm talking about. It's the latest indictment. Did you guys notice that it said an unindicted co-conspirator? So for me, that means that was somebody that was working in the court. I don't know.
A
Well, you don't know that.
clerk
I
or
mean,
somebody. Or,
could be a court off, could be somebody that works in the office of the court,
I'm
right?
thinking that's what it is. I'm thinking it was a clerk, okay,
Sure.
some clerk or something like that. But the thing is, if you got a docket and you're hearing 45 cases a day, how can a judge be held responsible?
well, but
Let's expect for the judge to be responsible.
you saying the judge didn't hear the rumors?
Oh no, I'm not saying that.
Oh,
No,
all I'm saying is the rumors. I helped a family, a guy I grew up with. One of my best friends as a kid, his mother called me. Somewhere down the line, he joined the Marine Corps. Right after boot camp, he went away to school to train as a cook. And in that time, when he was at that school, he was abused by NCOs, people that non-commissioned officers who've been in the military for weeks at a time. He obviously something happened with his head, and they discharged him. It took them 20 years to get the Marine Corps admit that this happened, because the Marine Corps didn't want to admit that it happened. And they gave him all this back pay, money, etc. And they appointed a guardian. First they had his mother. Now the court got mad because they lived somewhere on the east side. And one of his sisters, along with him, bought a house together in Southfield where he can have his own little private area, etc. And the court appointed this attorney as the guardian. He said, "Why are they moving into a house, a new house? That they should have stayed where they was, etc." He wanted them to stay in a shack. Didn't want to move there. I'm like, what's the deal? They need to get that money back and stuff. In the meantime, he was charging them by the hour.
Yes.
He was going to take all their money if they didn't do something. And, and they were right down in that courtroom. And what in front of Freddie Burton. He was the chief judge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you should have seen how he talked to that family. It was like, damn, man. Right? It was like they committed some fucking criminal shit.
So you know what? You have some judges, because you talk about fees. Judges have that discretion. They look at those attorney fees. There's one judge that I know will cut attorney fees like, no, you're not charging the state this much money. You're not charging the state this much money for this, that, and the third. Because they believed in, and this particular person believed in, listen, if this could have been my mother, father, sister, brother, whatever, and yeah, you working, and yeah, you've been appointed to do this work, but do you have to charge them these excessive, exorbitant fees? I don't think so, and I am not sanctioning that.
And I know which judge you're talking about too, don't I?
You do have judges that, you experienced it, right?
I did. She was absolutely fantastic. She told the attorney.
Pissed that she would cut fees. But oh, I said she, but that the judge will cut fees. But
I
there's
won't say her name. She's
But I'm
great.
glad.
people who actually sit there and they looking at everything, and then you have some who was like, okay, I trust that what you're saying is correct and what you done was right, and then
Hey, we have our friend Miss Sheila here, waiting to join. And hello, Tracy. Can we bring Miss Sheila on?
Okay, well, I'm a say goodbye.
all right, see you,
Thanks,
Adolph.
Adolph. We will talk
And
to
and
you.
I guess
Wait,
I guess
Adolph,
one
wait.
day I would talk
Wait.
about
So, what you need to talk about? I'm not breaking
yeah.
the story. You got to break the story. It's your story.
Right.
Okay, but
Miss Sheila,
but
We'll
I'll
talk
see
about it.
y'all.
Miss
And
Sheila,
Miss Sheila, thanks for coming on.
Don't go nowhere, because you real talking and we real talking, and I want you to hear this. Thanks, you guys, for talking about the probate court. And I just want to say, the real deal, the most thing everybody focus on, the dollar. Okay? If you got the right dollar, or if you don't have the right dollar, ain't nobody manipulate nothing. Am I right or wrong?
I think that's true.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that.
If ain't no a quarter or coin involved, ain't nobody involved. Let's tell the truth. And I wanted you to hear that. Now,
Well, the money talks.
it always do. Now, let
Yeah,
me say this to you. I want you to know, Miss Vanessa, that money don't mean nothing when you have integrity. And I want to support you.
thank
I
you,
want
Miss.
to support you to bring integrity back and respect. That's what we need, you guys. So I just want to tell you that. And thanks, Adolph, for keeping it 100 and raw. And that's who I am. And that's who Vanessa is. And Mr. Jim, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you for being authentic. And I just wanted to share that with you. I'm out.
Thanks, Miss.
okay. Well, thanks, Miss Sheila. Listen, Vanessa, all I was doing is giving you an introduction.
All right.
And we have turned it into whatever. We're gonna take a break. I'll see y'all the next show. It's Adolph Mongo.
Question, but okay.
Go ahead, the question.
Jim asked you to break some story. I want to hear what
And
it
no story. There's no story. No big deal. Jim
What's the
could
big
break it.
deal?
No
is.
big deal. I see
Please.
y'all. I see y'all.
Have you watched Charlie LaDuff show?
Yes.
Yeah, watch Charlie LaDuff show.
You give him all these clicks when they should be coming to this show.
Yeah, exactly. So why would we do that? Why don't we promote his show?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you
I
the
wanna hear it.
next show.
Just give me a
Part
little bit.
two. Part two. Part two.
Part
So
two.
we gotta wait till Wednesday.
I want to talk a little bit about.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit in Black and White, our Friday evening's edition. You have Adolph has left. We have Jim Nardone, our brother from downriver, our fam, the former chief of police for the Trenton Police Department. And also you have myself, Vanessa Moss, attorney, professor, mama, G-mama, friend, sometimes a foe. Moderator here, Detroit Black and White. So, Jim, you want to? I think I know what it is. Is it
You don't. I don't. Oh, you might know about that. That's not what I want to talk about, though.
Oh,
Hello,
okay.
Dominique Richmond. Good to see you tonight. I want to talk about Miss Sheila, what she talked about. I think it's important that we continue on that. And I'm going to give you a couple of specifics. You know the judge. I'm not going to mention the judge. You can.
Right.
We know it's a she, and it's not too hard to figure out if you really want to know who the judge is in my dad's conservator and guardianship case. But two quick things. One, she told the attorney, no, we're going to protect Mr. Nardone's assets. You're not charging this amount for hourly rate. It's about half of what or a little less than half of what he asked for. And the judge dressed him down and said, you know what? You're taking this responsibility. You have to take care of his assets.
Right.
And secondly, which is a story that I've never told, my dad in his later ages, salespeople come around when you got a few bucks, right?
Yep.
And my dad had a few bucks, and he was a little estranged from his sons. He's, if you know an old Italian guy, you know my dad, right? So anyway, he had signed on with an annuity, and he was doing okay with it. We did not know, and he didn't even know where the money was. All right. So behind the scenes, I had a guy that was assigned to a federal agency, and he was able to track the money, and it was in an annuity somewhere out in Missouri or Kansas somewhere. And, I worked and said, you have to give me this money back, right? He wasn't of sound mind. I had paperwork that said he had dementia, this and that. And they said, no, we're not giving it to you. You're not giving it to you. So the judge, during one of the hearings, I said, Judge, we're running, we need this, whatever, $200,000, somewhere like that, right? Something like that. And she said, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'll never forget this. She said, I'm going to do a court order and demand that they return this money. But I'm going to tell you right now, they don't have to. All right. The Kansas City, Missouri court does not, they do not have to respect my decision wherever they're from.
Right.
I don't have the jurisdiction to order a company in Kansas or Missouri to send you this check. In a week, the check was in my mailbox. That judge had the courage to do that, and she thought it might work, and it worked, and it saved me a lot of heartache, a lot of problems. So there are, when we talk about integrity, the judge that I'm mentioning, she understood the responsibility that she had. She took it all seriously, and she did a great job, and I'll be forever grateful. So when we talk about bad judges and bad attorneys, I think that it's important that we recognize the good ones.
Right. And I would say for the most part, for me, I would say as a practitioner, I respect a judge that tells me no, but tells me why they're telling me no and is backed by law, not because of some personality situation or anything like that. I also may not like, because I was one of those attorneys, my fees would get cut. I remember one judge over there, they're still over there now. I mean, I worked my tail off, and I was one of those people who my prices are always reasonable, right? And they decided that they were not going to give me my fees, and I was hot as fish grease. But you know what? I was blessed later on. Later on, I got another case, and I got paid on, I got paid on it. So, you take the good with the bad, and you do need people who are going to listen. They call it the country club court.
Don't tell people that you're running for the country court judge, country club court judge.
Call it, but because it's called that, that does not mean, because people say that does not mean that you have the authority to just take advantage of people. That is the court where the people are most vulnerable. They can't make decisions for themselves. I'm not a judge. I will be. I believe that. But you know what I tell people? You know how you can protect your assets? You don't have to do it well. You don't have to do it well. There are some things that you can put in place outside of that. If you have if you do a power of attorney, and you did a power of attorney in 2002, and here it is 2026, and somebody's questioning it, they can't say there was undue influence, because of course in 2002 you was working, you was of sound mind. Who's going to question that or challenge that? You understand what I'm saying? Real estate, you could do a ladybird deed. You can put somebody's name on the property before, you know, and just put it away, put the deed away. You can make beneficiaries of different, like the annuities that you're talking about, or bank accounts and those kind of things. So there's things that you can do. But there are also situations where people don't have family members, or they have scantless family members, and they need help from the court. And when the court was designed to assist, help people, not take advantage of people. So that's
Thank you, Miss Sheila, for coming on and for your thoughts. We appreciate having you on the on. Thank you, Edward, for your comments. It depends on the judge, Miss Sheila. You're absolutely right. And we need good judges, and we don't have enough of them. Dorian Denard, good evening to you. Where have you been, Dorian?
right. What's up, Dorian? Yep. So
A Detroit officer arrested after woman says he stole her intimate images 2 hours ago. I had not heard that, Stephanie.
What did she say happened?
A Detroit officer arrested after woman said he stole her intimate images, pictures of her, probably took pictures of her and used them to control her. And, you know, that's about control. And that's awful. It's a different world today, and people should be held accountable when they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But having said that, be careful who you take naked pictures with, would be my answer.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's somewhere along the line, somebody may want to control you. And when you do things that they can use to take control of your life, they will do that. And that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. And
yeah,
I like
it's interesting. When I said, hey, I'm running for Wayne County Probate Court, you would not. I got a phone call yesterday. It was like, oh, such and such did a deep dive on your social media to make sure that you didn't have anything, you know, outrageous on your social media account. And we're so pleasantly surprised. You came up clean. I'm like, what? I had no idea that they were doing that, number one. Number two, I said thank you because I didn't even think about somebody else that's running or whatever. They hire ops to do something like that. But when you talked about the intimate photos and things like that, you have to think about that on social media. I don't care whether you're running for judge or if you're a mother of a single mother of 3 children. There are things that you don't want to have out there. Like Jim said, you don't want to have anybody taking no pictures of you, scantily clad, if you will. And you shouldn't be putting that on. If you're okay with putting that on social media, fine. But that stuff can come back and bite you in your tail.
Thank you for the comments, Joe Merriweather, our friend Joe Merriweather, who's been on the show, former DPD, helicopter pilot, former Wayne County Sheriff's officer, sergeant or lieutenant. I think she was a sergeant there. Good to see you tonight, Joan. Dorian makes a point. He used her phone and stole her phone to steal her pictures. Well, then he belongs in jail. Larry Barnett is a viewer, and Dorian reminded me, I have some of his screenshots. They're all clean. He made some comments. He watched the show after, like Dorian does and has, and said, we have black people in the city who are Democrats who've never supported a winner. Black people in the city, the majority, have nothing to vote for. No one really looks into why black people are voting. And that's Larry Barnett, number 23. They're not voting because they're traumatized. It's like going to a doctor after the history of medical racism. So Larry Barnett made some points after the show was over, and we didn't get to them. And I think we should, maybe some of our other viewers have some thoughts on voters in Detroit and why they do and don't vote.
So one of the things that I talked about today, first of all, as a judge, you're not supposed to talk about politics. I'm speaking judge into my future. And if somebody's watching this show and get turned off, then, you expect for people, then you don't think that people really live or have opinions and views and things like that. One of the things that I was talking about with a very good friend of mine was we were talking about Jasmine Crockett and how she did not prevail in the race, and she gave a speech that was very, some people thought was very divisive, but there were people who in the Democratic Party who was very critical of her campaign. They said that she didn't have any direction, yada, 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 Scooby-Doo. Okay. So our conversation evolved, and I said, I find it very interesting that everybody else hold everybody accountable. Listen, our parents tell us when we do something wrong. Our neighbors tell us when we do something wrong. Judges tell us when we do something wrong. Sometimes your kids tell you when you're doing something wrong. If you have somebody that you were a chief of police, if the mayor didn't like what you were doing, he would say that. Why is it with politics?
My mayor was she.
How is it that in politics, if you say something negative about someone and it's your opinion about their leadership or the lack thereof, then there's something wrong with you. Oh, you don't like the party, yada, yada, yada. The reason I'm bringing that up, my question is, why do Black folks complain about the Democratic Party but continue to stay in an abusive relationship? That was a question that was posed to me. I'm posing that to our people here on Detroit in Black and White. I submit that it's not just Black people. There are people who are wedded to a party no matter what. And my question is, that was their question to me. My question is, on top of that, why stay in a relationship that's abusive?
Well, I'm going to answer that if I can, while our friends out here decide. I'm just going to give you a little perspective. Okay. I grew up in a city not too far from here. It's called Taylor. And Taylor's a different kind of city. And I can tell you this. I didn't know what a Republican was. We lived down the street from the Democratic Club, and everybody was a Democrat. I don't think it's like people that say I never met a Black person. I never met somebody from Mexico until I was an adult. I didn't meet a Republican probably till I was 15 years old. We never heard of Republicans. They were like foreigners. All right. That's how it was. Following up with that, you stay attached to the party that you think is doing better than the other party. So people that are Democrats their whole life, they still vote Democrat, even though they're not happy with the party. And I think that's probably true on the Republican side.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day, and the current president, Donald Trump, it's all about, his popularity. First of all, his popularity doesn't really matter. I guess it matters in the midterms, but it doesn't matter because he's only the president for however long he's the president. It doesn't matter if he's at 39% or 52%, right? But then I saw something that said 94% of the people that voted for him would have voted for him again, even with everything that's gone wrong or the negative view. And I think that's probably correct. The people that voted for him, if there was an election today, based on the opposition, they're still going to think he has their interest at heart better than the other party. And I think that if you agree with the Democrats 30% and you agree with the Republicans 0%, you can be way mad at the Democrats, but you're still voting for them. That's my thoughts.
Well, you know what? You're probably right, Jim, but I will say I've been watching these elections across the country, and I do think that with these wins that the Dems are have in their pocket, I do think that it is an indictment on the current president. I read a story earlier today where there were 3 Democrats. I forgot where this was, but they were all voted out because they reached across the aisle, the Republicans, in reference to some legislation, and the Democrats in rural as well as in urban areas. I think this is in North Carolina. It was either North Carolina or South Carolina. It was one or the other. These people were voted out. They was like, you crossed by party lines. We didn't like it. You out of here.
The Liz Cheney effect. She's stepping out. People are, who has all the courage in Congress right now? You know who the Republicans are that went after Kristi Noem this week? They're Republicans that aren't running again.
Right.
Well, those are we want people to behave that way all the time.
Right.
Not just when they're retiring.
Right.
Not just when they're not up for election. If you have the courage to stand up to Kristi Noem today because you're not running, but you didn't, 6 months ago because you were undecided, those aren't people we want in office.
Listen, what you want in office is people, listen, I don't like what you did. I don't like it at all. And you should be able to take it and move on and not take it as, oh, well, you're supposed to agree with everything that I say and everything that I do. The world does not work like that. But people act like it should, and it doesn't work like that. That's ridiculous. That is so ridiculous.
Thank you, Fred.
Yeah,
Allan.
Fred says too many cowards. What did he say?
Too many cowards in Congress. And Stephanie said Dems are a gang. I think they're all gangs. I think that it's turned to, it doesn't, and I agree with you, Stephanie, but we've seen whoever Trump supports gets elected, and the other guys are unfortunately, they disappear, right? But
Right.
It's been that way for a long time. It's more dramatic, it feels like now. You had middle of the road Republicans, middle of the road Democrats that would stand and vote. John Fetterman, he might be a little bit, what's the word I want to use? Unconventional. I'll just say that.
I don't know what word you want to use, but I think that I was pissed off last week when people were mad at him when the president of the United States made a comment and he supported the comment, and then everybody want to gang up on him. Wait a minute. I think my mother had a single birth delivery, and I think I'm an independent thinker. Why do you think you get to tell me when I can stand up, when I can clap, when I can chew, when I can walk? I thought the 13th Amendment, I thought we had the 13th Amendment where we are free and we are free thinkers. Nobody wants to say, it's okay for us to gang up on you. I don't care if you are R or D. It's okay for us to gang up on you because you don't agree with what we say, but it's not okay. It's just, to me, it's the hypocrisy of it all. For me, is a problem.
And Dorian makes the biggest point. It's not about the candidate. It's about the money behind the candidate. I'm sorry, Dorian, if I'm not saying that exactly what you're saying. I think I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, well,
thank you. Go ahead.
If he says money does talk.
Well, I said he's talking about AIPAC, and I think AIPAC is an example of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I will say money does talk. And as this go on, I'm going to ask people, if you support me, you're going to have to support me more than just saying, hey, Vanessa, I'm spreading the word, because sometimes just spreading the word by word of mouth doesn't get it. You also have to have literature,
$2
stuff, all that other stuff that you have to do. But
Can we talk about Stephanie's point? Because I want to. I've been thinking about this for a couple of days now, and I don't know the answer, and I hope that I get the answer tonight. Stephanie says no longer about the people, but politics, the hate of Trump, the politics and the hate of Donald Trump, and I think that's correct. But I'm going to ask this question to the viewers. This is where I'm perplexed, completely baffled, right? So we went into Venezuela and took out Maduro, all right? 32 million, between 28 and 32 million people in Venezuela. He was killing his people. He's a brutal dictator. Now, I'm not going to say I know what happens next, right? I don't know what the plan is. He may be replaced by somebody that's just as evil as he is, right? But there's 32 people, in my opinion, that have an opportunity to be free of this dictatorship. And I think, in my opinion, I'd rather us have an opportunity to know that than to know they have to live under that dictatorship. 93 million Iranians have an opportunity. Now, it's a big ask. I'm not that naive to think that tomorrow it's going to be, like the United States. We know it's not, because they look at the world differently. But there's 93 million people that have an opportunity to be free. Iran pre-1979 was a pretty cosmopolitan, pretty up, it was a different world than it is now. But they took over, the Islamists took over that country, and, they became terrorists. And for the last 50 years, Iran has been You know, they killed 30, we think, right? Some of it's propaganda, 35,000 protesters, right? So to me, this is all good, or the potential is for a better outcome than a year ago. And is it just about Donald Trump? Is everybody, when people say, well, it's because of the Epstein files, are you kidding me? 135 million people that were under, you know, brutal dictators and brutal leadership, killers, cold-blooded killers, is about some dead pedophile? It's not about Jeffrey Epstein. It's not about Donald Trump. It's about making the world a better place. It's about protecting our interests too. I get that.
You know, I'm making a face on that because I think the president of the United States is a dictator. He wants to be a dictator. I have a problem with that because if you know the history of this country and you know where people came from England over here to the United States, they fled from dictatorship. And so for people to support a dictatorship, I personally have a problem with it. Now, because I personally have a problem with it, I say this time and time again, everything he does is not wrong. But everything that he did, everything he has done is not wrong. But he hasn't done everything right either. And he is one of those people who feels as if everything he does is right. I have a problem with him and anybody else who acts like that.
He's a spoiled, petulant child. We all know that. You know who he is? He's like every other billionaire that you've ever met. Every other billionaire that you know.
I've never met a billionaire. I'm sorry.
They get what they want. That's what the Epstein files are about. It's about people controlling other people with cash. That's been going on in this country since day one. You know, if you have more money, you can control other human beings. That's what business owners do. It's just the way of the world. Now, thank you, Fred, for your comment, but I'm going to take a little exception to it, and this is why. All right, I'm going to follow you, and Vanessa, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Mm-hmm. You can say that he has tendencies, that he wants to be a dictator, and he could be, you know, he could be a king if he had the opportunity to do it. But my difference is, here's a guy that bitched and moaned and whined. And what did he do on January 21st, 2021? He got on a plane and left town. He doesn't have the courage to be a dictator. He's like every other rich guy that doesn't get his way. He talks big, but when push comes to shove, he runs away like a little girl. Like, I can't even say a little girl. He runs away.
You better not say like a little girl.
He runs away when things get bad. And he does not have the kind of courage that it would take to become a dictator.
I don't think dictators have courage. I think they're bullies. I think they're petulant. As you say, he's a petulant child. They used to get in their way. I think that fits his description. Dictators look just like that guy that occupies the White House. Now, let me say this. I would venture to say he's not the only person that's occupied that house that's come across as a dictator. But because of some of the things that he has said and done, and because people don't like him, people don't want to recognize that. I mean, I'm not saying that this has happened, but some people may feel like their mayor or their governor is a dictator. Some people may feel that way wherever they live in these United States of America. We're going to take a pause. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back to Detroit Black and White on Friday evening's edition.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit Black and White on Friday evening's edition. And I don't know where we left off, but go ahead, Jim.
But I wanted to finish that question. Right. If it was Joe Biden or Bill Clinton that attacked Iran, would every Republican hate it because he did it? I don't think that's true. I think Stephanie makes the point that no matter what Donald Trump does, people hate it. And you disagree with that. I don't know what happens, right? It's not that easy. We attacked Iraq because we said they had weapons of mass destruction. And look what happened. The Taliban, Afghanistan, we can talk about all the failures. I sure hope they have a plan. If they have no plan, this will ultimately be a failure. We do know that. We've seen too many of these failures, right? We don't know what's going to happen in Venezuela. But my point is only this. We know that 6 months ago, if you said the wrong thing on the streets of Tehran or in Caracas, you could lose your life, right? I don't know if that's true anymore. So we can take the good with the bad. We don't have to hate his action. We all hate war. War's terrible. Nobody supports war, but there's an opportunity for Venezuelans. There's an opportunity for Iranians. There's an opportunity, may even be an opportunity for people in Cuba that have lived under Fidel Castro. We can only hope that it turns out that way. So let me ask the question, does Trump become a hero if Cuba that we helped, we'll say helped, on April 19th, 1961, we've been fighting Cuba since we invaded or participated in the invasion of Cuba on April 19th, 1961. That was about 6 weeks after I was born. So these are all bad people. And we can attack the man. We can attack everything. But if Joe Biden had done this, would people be looking at it differently? I guess is my question. I don't know the answer.
I think people would be looking at it differently. And listen, I have not been shy about this. You go and take care of everybody else's house and your house is in chaos. I personally have a problem with it. I personally have a problem with it. I personally have a problem with our sons, daughters, fathers, nieces, and nephews being ordered to go and fight when we don't even take care of them when they're here at home. I have a problem with it. Now, I will also say, though I have a problem with that, I respect each and every person that has decided to volunteer to go and follow those orders in the name of protecting the United States. I have a problem with the United States not taking care of our people. I do.
I understand. That's a great point, but that's not my point. That's a great point.
I understand that. So when you say things like, well, they are, they're doing a good job. The people, they can live free. You talk about.
I didn't say they can. I said the opportunity.
They have the opportunity. Excuse me. You're correct. And
yeah, I don't know what happens.
If it was in court, the judge would say, Vanessa, they did not say that. You making up words. So you're absolutely correct. But the point that I'm making is this. I can't really appreciate that because I see what's going on here at home. And I think there's a lot of things that needs to be fixed here. And when you talk about somebody being crooked and people not being able to, walk around freely, basically, and live without fear, I'm like, well, we live here and we know a lot of people live in fear. I mean, you and I walk down the street and fearful about walking down the street and or getting on the bus and or living in certain neighborhoods. I personally have a problem with that.
I'm with you. I agree. So Stephanie makes a point. Just watch the media in Iran. Well, I saw the people in Venezuela, and I saw the people in Israel. All right, and I saw the people in Iran who all are thankful that the United States has positioned themselves to protect Israel, who was attacked by Hamas. Iran, Iran's been a terrorist, a supporter of terrorism since 1979, right? The number one state sponsor of terrorism, arguably. I don't know if that's true. I don't have the details on that. And we know Venezuelan. I think that we need to look at the big picture and see what happens here in 5 years from now when there's another president. All right. And I'm going to tell everybody that, don't call me up on the phone, because Donald Trump's going to be on his private plane out of there on that cold January day. No matter what happens, he's not going to be a dictator. I think I get the point. When a guy goes on TV and says he should be starting his third term, he's only inciting those that small group that may believe that that's okay, right? He doesn't understand that people listen to what the president of the United States says. He doesn't understand that people take what he says to heart. He thinks he's cute and funny sometimes, and I think that's awful. When I hear him say things like, this should be the beginning of my third term, and he's joking, I think he's joking. Maybe he's not joking, but that's just stupid. He can't behave that way. He needs to change the way he behaves. He's not going to, all right? I'm not defending him. I'm just saying it's more about us than it is about him. The way we behave and the way we react to people tells us more about us than it does about him. He's never changed, right? I mean, you have a governor in California. I just learned this the other day. He may be our next president, right? He took a limo to the airport and got on a private jet to go on vacation with the Gettys, right? His dad was I think he was a personal attorney for the Gettys.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Newsom. Then we have a guy in Illinois. I'm not knocking him for this.
Well, I'm going to knock him about that speech that he did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's another story. But
that's
we have
ridiculous.
a billionaire in Illinois that's the governor. And where are we going in this country? If all we have to choose from is billionaires, we are probably doomed.
Yeah. G Money said something. I don't know, Jim, if you can see it. It disappeared. Well, he said something about, America has to be careful. It's word on the street that China and Russia has joined forces and are secretly funding. I can't get the rest of it, even with these glasses. The print is so small. Can you see it?
Yes. America has to be careful. It's word on the street that China and Russia have joined forces with Iran and secretly funding Iran. Well, I can tell you this, G Money, you make a great point, because I don't think this country, or Israel, once they were done, I think they thought it was going to be a 3-day deal. And Iran's ability to fight back, I think, has surprised everybody. So they're getting some support from somewhere. You're right on with that. I think I was surprised that they're still fighting back. So somebody in Iran is in charge with the 48 or 49 leaders that are dead. Somebody's pulling the switch. Someone's moving the lever, and they still have ammunition, and they are still fighting back. Which one of two things: either the U.S. and Israel had a poor strategy, which is very possible, or they underviewed the enemy.
And guess what? Both things could be true at the same time. Both things could be true. Stephanie talks about basically the same thing that G Money talked about. And actually, I read that earlier today in one of the news, internet news cycles, that Russia and China was helping Iran. But
they depend on Iran that's a business partnership. They're getting their oil from Iran and some of these other countries that we are. Venezuela. If you shut down Venezuela.
Edward Alt, this is interesting. He said, as a Marine, I fully hope and pray that our leadership knows what they're doing, creating this new war. It's like fires everywhere.
Well, we all know how the British Empire ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Edward, that's a great point. We worry about the men and women that that have to fight the battles because they're not at the country club, right? They're in Kuwait losing their lives.
Right.
People that decided to give back to this country, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. And Fred Allen says the U.S. is falling behind Israel. That's a scary thought, Mr. Allen. I agree with you. You might be right. So Karen asked, I think she asked about this a few shows ago, and we didn't get to it. We talked about fallout shelters or bomb shelters. I don't know that there are any. I mean, there were shelters at some point. I guess I don't know. Is the garage for Ford Auditorium still there? We all have to gather at go underneath where the old Ford Auditorium garage was. I don't know, but this is bigger than Iran. It's bigger than Venezuela. We're messing with the big boys oil, and they're not happy. Russia was reported to be providing intelligence. That wouldn't surprise me at all, Stephanie. And Miss Sheila talks about he's provoking. Yeah, he is provoking. Where are we going? Could this be this could be the end? We don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely a provocateur. Who is this? Edward Alt says, correction, as a Marine veteran, I hope and pray that we have a plan for this new war.
Yeah.
It just seems to me that we have fires there. We got a fire here, a fire there, a fire everywhere. And the American people are suffering. What's going to be interesting is what happens in the next month or so, whether or not gas prices are going to creep up. I understand I haven't gotten gas in the last week or so. So I probably need to go get some tomorrow, but I haven't really been paying attention. Have you been paying attention?
It's up 50 cents. And there's your friend Jan Saluk, my friend from Victory Gym. Thank you to the people at Victory Gym for supporting Vanessa Moss, and thank you, Jan, for supporting my friend Vanessa, our friend Vanessa, I should say. So,
absolutely.
Thanks, Jan. Russia's providing intelligence.
She said,
so
Russia.
Dorian said Russia-China alliance isn't an alliance. Yeah, we kind of know. It's about China to me, Dorian. I think China is who we need to be concerned with, and China is not happy today. I can tell you that. During the Clinton administration, the U.S. paid Ukraine to give Russia their nuclear weapons, and that's why that happens. We do that. So we're with somebody before we're against them, right? We're with Iran before we're against Iran. We're with Iraq before we're against it. We do that a lot. Sometimes we pick losers, and it's not a good thing. We'll see if he uses ICE to try and stop people from voting in the midterm elections. Terry, thank you, Terry, for your thought.
Are you trying to be funny?
No, I think he's serious, but I think ICE's moment is kind of gone. I think.
You think it's gone because Christie is gone?
I think I don't think the president's going to come out and say that they made some errors. He's just not that kind of a guy, but I think he knows that the way they did it and what they said they were going to do, I think he knows that he was wrong. I think that the government knows he was wrong. I think Tom Homan knows that he was wrong, and I think Tom Homan's going to try and fix it. They need. I predicted they would not do what they did in Minnesota. I'm glad they did what they did. I thought it was exactly the right thing to do, was to pull back, but it should have never happened, right? You can't fix something once people die, right? Because these people aren't coming back.
Right.
But it was predictable. What happened in Minnesota was predictable. And that's really unfortunate, because you should have enough people in that administration. Somebody needs to be asking the right questions and saying, if we do this, this, and this, people are going to die. Where were those people when that happened? And that's unfortunate.
Right.
But I think ICE is, I think some of a lot of things that happen with ICE, and I know we have, I think it was Sheila, I don't think you put a mask on when you're out there policing. If you don't have the courage to go out in public without that mask on, I did it for almost 30 years. People are going to talk about you. People are going to make up stories about you. People are going to threaten you. People are going to, I was on a year and a guy threatened my life, right? For a speeding ticket. Those things happen, all right? And it's unfortunate, but you don't hide from the public you serve. And that's just my position.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about Terry McCrimmon. Thank you so much for watching, Terry. Shout out to you. He says, he talks about Reverend Jesse Jackson's homegoing and how beautiful it was today. And 3 Democrat presidents spoke well of Reverend Jackson. He was a force of nature. I am somebody. Yeah, he went on a tour. His body went on a tour. I mean, it seemed like it was forever. And I did see the highlights. I work every day, so I didn't see the whole service. But I thought they, as the folks say, I thought they did a good job of putting him away. I really do. We also have,
Stephanie, can I answer that? Because
yeah,
I'm
go
sorry
ahead.
I have to do this because Stephanie, I wore a mask. When you're an undercover officer and you go out and do a search warrant in the same neighborhood that you're buying narcotics, you do wear a mask, right? Those things happen, but I just see where it can go bad, right? So if you're in a drug unit and there's 10 guys, 8 guys don't have masks on because they're not buying narcotics typically in that neighborhood. 1 or 2 guys that might be doing the buying. You're absolutely right. And I've been that person. So I just want to clarify that.
So let me ask you this, Jim. I know we're about to go, but if you were doing the drug buys in these neighborhoods, they didn't know your voice?
No. Well, you didn't do much talking when you were doing that.
Okay.
So you would be a
Look,
backup. You would be a backup on a search warrant or something. You'd be like the 6th guy in or whatever you would be. But
okay.
you didn't want to go face to face with somebody you just bought an ounce of crack from because, it's just bad things happen. So, and yes, it happens, Stephanie. I'm not saying there aren't reasons, there aren't times that police officers shouldn't wear masks, but I don't think when you have 50 or 100 guys going in to do an operation, all of them, and I'm not sure all of them did, but the majority of these guys did have masks. And I just have an issue with it. You have great opinions, great comments, Stephanie, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it is 9:31. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Hey, D Love, I did call you back. And Tracy, I'm going to call you in 1 second. We'll be back tomorrow morning. We're going to be in the Guardian building. We're going to be live tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. It'll be Jim, Vanessa, and Allan. I don't think we have a guest tomorrow. I was supposed to set it up, but I've been so busy. So we'll have some guests moving forward. Some interesting guests. This is Women's History Month. Shout out to the women. Shout out to, guess what? Our Lady T. Lady T, shout out. We love you, Lady T. And thank you so much for keeping us together. We will see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. I promise you, after I call Tracy, I'm going to bed and getting some good sleep. So I'll be wide awake tomorrow and ready to rock and roll. All right. Good night.